Well, my Ali wish list has filled up again. Well, it hasn't really filled up again, but it's gotten to a point where I think I'd like to share with you these watches. And I've been very careful with this wish list because I keep adding watches to it. I keep then looking at them again. I keep then deleting some. I then can add some more. And I think I've ended up coming up with a list of a bunch of watches that I actually really want to own. And if I really want to own them, perhaps you'd be interested in seeing which ones they are. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I am talking about watches. And I think I've got some very cool watches to share with you today because, as I keep saying, I think watches coming out of China and that are being sold on Aliexpress are getting better and better. And I think I'm also getting a little bit better at choosing better watches, so my wish lists are getting better. The problem is, there are so many great watches that I need to then obviously refine that list down to a manageable amount, and I then need to refine that manageable amount down to a number that I then buy for myself. So this is a bunch of watches that I think are very cool, and if I think they're very cool, then maybe you guys will as well. But of course, when it comes to these wish list videos, I need to make it very, very clear that I am not recommending any of them to you because I haven't owned any of them. I haven't experienced any of them. I don't have them in my collection. They're on my wish list because I'm considering buying them myself. So I don't want to recommend them to you. All I'm doing is drawing your attention to them because if they do interest me so much, maybe they'll interest one of you guys out there. And if you then tend to choose one or want to buy one, well, I'm going to leave some of those affiliate links down below. They really do help fund this channel, fund me buying some more watches that I can then share with you. And it becomes a bit of a cycle, bit of money coming in. I can then buy watches and then share them with you guys, and it goes around and around. And I do appreciate it if you choose to use those affiliate links. But let's get to looking at some of these watches. So here are the 10 watches that have made it onto my wish list. Well, technically it's 11 watches, but it's 10 watches, and I'll explain to you as I go along, and I think you'll understand what I mean. So let's get into it. First of all, with a Pagani Design. And you'll see here that I'm listing it in US dollars today. That's just so I don't need to put up here on the screen somewhere some conversions, so we can all just sort of figure out what it is from that 105 US dollars for this GMT Pagani Design. I think it looks brilliant in black. I think there's a blue one there as well. Click on the blue, light blue, and a white dial. Interesting sort of dial surface. So there's a textured dial, obviously with the GMT. This is the NH34 with a sort of that mechanical GMT movement, 40mm case diameter. I think that looks absolutely fantastic. And the recent Pagani Design watches that I've had have been so good that I'm actually been surprised at how good. I think that looks like it might be a butterfly clasp on the back there. Let's scroll down a bit and let's see if we can get some other pictures of this one. Got some more details of this one. This is the PD1792, 100 meters of water resistance, a 40mm case with a sapphire crystal. And let's have a look at a couple of quick more photos of this one. Oh yeah, so it's a fairly classically designed GMT sort of style with a solid bezel there and that GMT. Let's get a few more pictures of this one. Textured dial. I think with this one, the black is probably going to be the best option. It's certainly the one I would probably pick, probably because of that textured dial. If it is a little bit funny, then I think black will sort of forgive that sort of texture. I wonder if it's got a sort of a colored hand as well. Not nice hands, silver, bit of lume in there. So it's sort of a very cool sports watch with that NH34 Seiko GMT automatic movement, and certainly well priced being a Pagani Design. Next, I thought I'd go for a Berny. Yes, Berny, one of my first watches I bought from Aliexpress was a Berny. And this one, well, this is a rather cool one, and it's only 83 US dollars. Got a sapphire crystal, I would say, yes, a Miyota 8215 movement. I have noticed with these slightly more interesting dial watches or slightly different interesting complications, they do tend to use these 8000 series Miyotas. Perhaps they're good for these kind of watches. There are a couple of other sort of case colors, gold and black and different things, but I like a silver case and a bit of red in there. I think that looks quite cool. A different way to tell the time. Well, not really, but just a different style of watch. Let's scroll down. Let's have a look at some other pictures of this one and maybe some other specifications. Oh, there are some more specifications right there. A couple of different pictures as well, and showing some of that lume after the lights go out as well. Oh, that's really cool. All right, yeah, that Miyota 8215. Case is 44, but I think style forgives size a little bit, and because this one's rather funky looking, I think that's going to be okay. Yeah, the lug to lug's rather big as well, 51. But for this price, with sapphire crystal, 50 meters of water resistance, and with an automatic Miyota movement, and just being something rather different and fun, and ooh, I do like those lugs. I might actually end up having to get myself one of these just because it looks so different, so much fun, and it's super affordable at 83 US dollars. Now this Rolex style watch is sort of seemed to be coming into fashion at the moment for the Homage watches, because Sugess has now jumped onto the game. For 200 US dollars you can get the day date, which is what they're calling it, with a peacock automatic movement, which is rather interesting. I haven't actually experienced one of these automatic movements before, but I've heard that they're okay. Comes in a whole bunch of different colors. I think that's what, blue, black, light blue, and if you want some bling, you can go for an all gold style case. But I seem to have a thing for silver dials. But this one I think is a 40 millimeter. Let's jump down to the specifications of this one. Here we go. Yep, 40 millimeters, 12 millimeters thick, lug width of 21. Oh, that's rather interesting. And a high beat peacock 3034 movement. Now, one thing people may look at this one and go, oh, this size of a watch is fantastic. I personally like a 40 millimeter watch, but this style perhaps may not be the perfect style for this size. And if that is the case, well, they've helped out, because there's a 36 millimeter version. There's a couple of little differences to the dial, but again, different colors, but the same kind of style. I still would go for the silver. I like silver, but a 36 millimeter. This one contains the Seagull movement there, the 2130, so it's slightly different. So I really just wanted to show you these two because, well, to me, it's a very similar style watch between the two, just a different size. So effectively, yes, I said 10 watches, but this is the 11th watch on this list. Now, some people don't like this Parnis brand name because it sounds a bit like something else, but this one doesn't have that branding on the dial at all, and I think that looks actually really cool, and it's only 117 US dollars. Comes with a Seagull 1701 automatic movement, and it has a couple of different dial variations, but this is the dial I think I like, but I think the little bit more traditional style is that one, or probably this one. I think a lot of people will probably end up buying that one, but there's even a sort of a salmon dial, but for some reason I think that's the cool one. Silver and blue tend to be colors that I like. It says that is at a 41 millimeters, which is quite big probably for this sort of style, but I think that looks absolutely cool and super affordable. Let's have a quick look at a couple more details down here. Yeah, see, they even picked that one as their main photo for the watch, because I think that is actually probably the best looking one of the lot. A 41 by 49.8, that's very specific, isn't it? Seagull automatic movement, stainless steel. Yep, just a cool looking watch. Has a bit of a retro sort of field watch to me, and I think that looks quite cool, and I quite like it. And I've had one watch from Parnis before, and the quality was very good, especially considering the price. Sorry to interrupt, guys, but I wanted to stop you right now and just ask you a question. Are you a subscriber of my channel? Because if you're not, well, I'd really appreciate it if you just click on that subscribe button. Well, let's get back to this wish list. Now, the next one is actually a little bit different, because this year I was planning on buying a Grail watch, or a couple of Grail sort of watches, but I've decided to spend a little bit less money this year for a few different reasons, and I'm not buying them. So when I actually found one of my Grail watches being homaged for an affordable rate on Aliexpress, well, I had to press buy it now. So this one, which I'm about to show you, I've already purchased. I'm just waiting for it to arrive. I'm actually not sure exactly who it's made by. I did contact them just to check actually, to make sure that there is no brand name on the dial, and there isn't. Sometimes these listings sometimes black it out digitally, but apparently no. I've seen photos of it and they did come back saying no brand name written on it. But this is obviously a Cartier Homage. This is the one that I've chosen because this is the one that I was planning to buy secondhand from Cartier, or a Cartier secondhand watch. Brand new, the Cartier versions are about 5,000 to 6,000 Australian, but this Homage version, 85 US. There's a silver version as well. There is the bezel version, which is again what comes with it, and there's a couple of other versions as well, which are, these are both other different styles of, well, homages of this particular brand. This one I think looks cool, but I knew I was actually going to plan to buy this specific one. So for me, I think it's a really good idea, because I wasn't actually going to spend the money this year because I've decided to make some changes. But, well, this gives me the sort of feeling of this watch on wrist without having to spend that money. And to be honest, the thing I like most about this idea of getting this watch, beyond it not spending that extra money, is actually getting the opportunity to have this Homage style on wrist to see whether I actually end up connecting with the design and whether or not I actually end up wearing it. And if I do connect with the design and if I do end up wearing it, well, then I might consider in the future actually buying the original. Let's go back to Pagani Design, and I'm actually considering this one because it is an integrated bracelet. I'm not a big fan of integrated bracelets. I think that they look quite good, but whenever I put them on wrist, I don't seem to connect with them. Hence why I thought maybe a Pagani Design at only $63 might be a good way to try to really sort of force myself to wear one to see if I can connect with it without spending a huge amount of money. This was a new release for 2024, contains the NH35 from Seiko. It's going to be all stainless steel with 100 meters of water resistance, and I think that's just a very neat looking watch. Let's have a look at some of the other specifications. Whoop, let's go back to that. 12 mil thick, 40 millimeter case diameter, 148 grams. And of course, yep, got that automatic Japanese movement. And with the Pagani designs being so good recently, or at least that's been my experience with the couple that I've been looking at, I've been really impressed. And I think it just might be worthwhile buying one of these because they are so cheap, just to see if I can sort of get over that sort of feeling of not really connecting with these integrated bracelets. The couple that I've tried have been good, but I just haven't really enjoyed wearing them. So I thought maybe a cheap one to see if I can get over that hurdle with my issues with integrated bracelets. Now, the SteelDive watches that I've experienced in the past have been fantastic, and I think this one actually looks really good. A couple of different variations, mostly just with straps. I think I'd definitely get on the bracelet. Whether or not I end up wearing it on the bracelet, I don't know. But on the bracelet, it's $110 and a little bit cheaper not on the bracelet, just over $100. Now, it says 45 millimeters, but look at the design. I think it's partially because of that design of the case, makes it probably a little bit bigger. Let's go down and let's have a look at the other specifications of this one to see what it is, because it is the SD1944, yeah, 45, but it's 51 mil case length, so lug to lug, which sounds big, but it's doable depending on the watch. Lug size of 20 millimeters, 13.5 millimeters thick, has a ceramic unidirectional click bezel, which is very cool, and of course has the Seiko NH35 automatic movement, which I do like. And I think it said 100 meters of water resistance. I'm sure that's written somewhere, but I'm struggling. Oh no, 200 meters of water resistance. Let's try and find a couple more pictures of this one because I do like the style of it. I think it's actually quite cool, and I'd be quite interested to see, even though it says it is large, how that actually then ends up sitting on wrist, because I get the feeling that this one might actually look okay. And SteelDive, they make some of the best affordable watches that you can get, and with that Seiko movement, you really can't complain too much. So I think this one might be worthwhile considering. And look, even has a milled clasp. Now, I've not bought one from Cronos for a while, but this style, well, this is a homage of my other Grail watch, the Grand Seiko, but this is obviously not a Grand Seiko. This is a Cronos with a dark dial and a silver dial for $185. They even call it the Cronos GS. That is a little bit cheeky, isn't it? But it's a 39 millimeter case diameter with 100 meters of water resistance and the PT5000 movement and an on-the-fly adjustable clasp. Let's go down a little bit to have a look at some of the other details of this one. Oop, that's good. I like it when they put these pictures on there because it shows you the watch really well, gives you all the dimensions nicely, and lines up the information. Lug to lug of 47, that's great. 39 millimeters, that is fantastic. Bandwidth of 20, great. Sapphire crystal, PT5000 and 100 meters of water resistance. The couple of watches I've had from Cronos before have been absolutely fantastic. And since this is homaging another one of my Grail watches, the Grail watch which I'm going to be choosing not to buy this year just to save some money, well, this might be the version that I end up buying, at least in the interim. I'm a big fan of the Seagull watches. They do tend to sometimes be a little bit expensive. This one is on the slightly higher end, being $170 or just under, but I really like that dial. I think that's very cool. But look at the sub second hand. It's like a compass rose, so this star is going to be spinning around, which is cool. Obviously, it's going to be containing a Seagull movement, but it comes in a couple of different colors. The blue is kind of nice. This June color is actually kind of cool. The silver, well, I do tend to like silver, but I do find that red to be quite stunning. So let's have a scroll down to see some of the other details of this particular watch and see if there's something more that we should like to see. Yeah, Seagull ST17 movement, comes with a 2-year warranty, stainless steel, synthetic sapphire crystal. They're always interesting, but it's got a case diameter of 40, which is good to hear, and a waterproof of only 50 meters, which is a little bit low, but look at that. I think that's a cool looking watch, and that bracelet actually looks really nice on it as well. And I like the hands, and you can't really go too wrong with a Seagull. I've owned a couple in the past and they've been great. And it's nice to see that they're doing something a little bit different. Now, last on this list is actually one I think that's been out for a while. It's not a brand new release, but it's from a brand that I've experienced before that I really liked. And what I'm liking from them is that they're starting to do lots of different variations of their different dials. And let me show you the best variation of this one that I've come across that is making me consider buying it. It's an IX&DAO, specifically in this format. I like this silver and grey, or white and black and grey. Yeah, I think it looks really cool. $210 US, 39 millimeters with a 200 meters of water resistance. It is a titanium watch, which is not generally my go-to, but you've got some options of a PT5000, or you can even upgrade to an SW200 or an ETA 2825. But let's look at the other dial variations quickly. You can have a little bit more of a Tudor-esque looking one. You can even have the crown on the opposite side, a couple of different color variations, but I just do keep coming back to this one. Yep, let's scroll down quickly and just have a little look at a few more things. Yeah, the standard one was the PT5000. It is a titanium watch with a 60-click unidirectional ceramic bezel insert, 200 meters of water resistance, and where was it? I think it said it was 39 millimeters. Yeah, let's look at this picture. I like it when they do these pictures. 39 millimeters. I just think it's a nice sort of size, and I just particularly like that other variation, that one there. Guys, thank you so much. These are the watches that are seriously on my list. I think out of this list, at least 3 of them are ending up going to be purchased by me. One of them already has, so keep your eyes out for that one if you're interested in seeing it. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you have not already done so, it would be great if you did subscribe to my channel. I do appreciate it if you do subscribe. And now that you've subscribed, perhaps you might want to watch a couple of my other videos.